It's a shame, because I see the potential this mode has and I want it to succeed. But sadly, I believe this mode will just be forgotten with time. I was wrong about Rogue Run. After its release in Season 4, I completely expected that Rogue Run wouldn't be updated any further. But with the release of Season 5, not only was Rogue Run given a new map, Astra Malorum, but the mode itself received some pretty massive changes. I'm glad Rogue Run received this update, because if nothing else, this means that Treyarch is willing to commit to a single mode and evolve it as time goes on. But the real question is, how good are the changes made to Rogue Run? But before we continue, I would recommend watching my first video on Rogue Run, at least if you haven't played the mode yet. While it isn't required, I will be mostly going over the changes made from the previous iteration of Rogue Run. But for those who are just interested in the current state of the mode, I'll try to cover the old versus the new iteration as much as possible. With the preamble out of the way, this is the new Rogue Run in Black Ops 7 Zombies. Starting with the most obvious change is the new map added to Rogue Run, Astra Malorum. Just like with Ashes of the Damned, Astra has you fighting waves of zombies in a sectioned off area, choosing new upgrades to further enhance your kit, and being transported to another section of the map where you must survive another round. But unlike Ashes, Astra has much more close quarters, so you'll have to be careful, especially with the new enemy on the field. Speaking of, let's go over the new enemy added to Rogue Run on Astra, the Ravager. Yes, I know, it's not a new enemy, but hear me out. In standard zombies, while Ravagers do steal your ground loot, they drop salvage depending on what and how much they eat. They can more often than not be a benefit to you, giving you another way to acquire salvage. But in Rogue Run, there is no salvage or crafting bench, so whatever they eat is just gone forever with no benefit. This gives you an enemy that not only can be a threat to you, but can also take away your resources to survive. Now that we have covered the new map and enemy for Rogue Run, let's go over the changes made to the mode itself, starting with the new difficulty options. Instead of having a majority of the modes being one and done, with endurance being the main way you'll play the mode, Rogue Run now has multiple difficulty options: casual, normal, and hardcore. Let's start with normal difficulty, because it's basically endurance's difficulty from before. If you liked endurance, you'll be satisfied with normal's difficulty. Next up is casual, which is like normal, but the zombies don't increase their damage as the match goes on, like in directed mode. And finally, we have hardcore. Hardcore not only increases the damage of zombies, but they are also more aggressive, making this a truly difficult roguelike experience. But there is one more way that you can increase the difficulty of your game for those who aren't satisfied with hardcore alone. In my original video, I said an unexpected positive for Rogue Run is how you can experiment with different augments. Treyarch has fully embraced this experimental side of Rogue Run, with the next and most significant change to the mode, the introduction of cursed relics. In each area of the map, there is a new curse totem that, when interacted with, will activate a random relic for the rest of the match. It doesn't matter if you have the relic or not, it will pull from any of the relics in the game, with the exception of ones that don't work with the mode. And not only that, you can use this cursed totem once per round, meaning you can activate as many relics as you want, as long as you're able to survive. Both of these changes open up many different ways to play Rogue Run like never before, overhauling the experience as a whole. And that's everything new with Rogue Run. This update introduces some major changes that shake up the mode in some pretty unique ways. But the question is, do these changes fix the issues with the mode? And more importantly, is Rogue Run a truly good game mode now? Well, let's find out, starting with what the mode does right: the good. Let's start with the change that fixes the biggest issue facing Rogue Run, the mode's difficulty options. Before this update, even though Rogue Run launched with 5 modes, each were the exact same in terms of difficulty. And Rogue Run's difficulty was easier than standard, because while zombies' damage did increase throughout the run, their speed did not. So you'll get to these high rounds and not be threatened because the zombies couldn't keep up with you. This created a rather dull experience, and is why I didn't see myself playing Rogue Run long term. But with these difficulty options, you could finally increase the difficulty of the mode, fixing the biggest issue I had with Rogue Run. On top of Astra Malorum being added to Rogue Run, creates a rather challenging experience that will truly test your skill and your decisions. But let's say that hardcore doesn't satisfy you, and you still crave more difficulty. Well, the mode still has you covered. This brings us to the next positive with this update, the Curse Totem. Not only does this give you the option to further increase the difficulty of the match, but it also allows you to test out different relics that you might not have. One of the biggest issues with the relics, for me at least, is whether it's worth it to get a certain relic or not. Not only will you have to look up a guide to get a relic in the first place, but you will also have to complete the requirements in one match to open the relic portal, and then complete the trial associated with that relic. And depending on which relic you are doing, could take hours in one game alone for one relic. While Rogue Run doesn't fix how long it takes to get relics, this update gives you the ability to test out different relics to see which ones you like or don't like. Like for example, I found out that I really like the Agarthan device relic, which I don't have. Having different types of special zombies spawn every round really shakes up the game that, at first, I thought I wouldn't enjoy. But after playing with this relic, I now want to go get this relic for myself, something I wouldn't have done without Rogue Run. And the same goes for relics that I didn't like as much as I thought, like the Music Box relic. These relics can take a lot to get, and if you don't have a lot of time to get them, this can save you time for getting relics you're going to use. Both of these benefits can help you decide what relics you want to go after, which you couldn't find anywhere inside the game before this update. Another positive that comes from this update is the many different ways you can play Rogue Run. On top of just playing Rogue Run normally, you can also play Rogue Run on casual and activate a relic each round to experiment with them. Or while you're playing normally, you can activate a relic or two if the game feels too easy. Or you can go completely nuts and activate a relic every round on hardcore, truly testing your skill. There's so many different ways you can play Rogue Run that it turns this one mode into a completely customizable experience. In my first video, I praised Rogue Run with its unique way to experiment with different augments, and I'm glad to see that same idea applied to relics. And to wrap up with the positives, we have the increased variety of the mode with Astra Malorum. Ashes is a great map, but the problem with it when it comes to Rogue Run is that a lot of the areas have been survival maps. So when Rogue Run was first released, it felt like sometimes you were just playing the survival maps again, losing some of that uniqueness with Rogue Run. But most of Astra's areas are only found on the map itself, making each separated area its own unique experience, even if we've been here before. And that's the newest iteration of Rogue Run in Black Ops 7 Zombies. Rogue Run's update fixes a lot of issues that I and many others had with the mode, while also introducing its own ideas to make it truly stand out. But this update didn't fix everything, and there are still some issues with the mode. This is the remaining problems with Rogue Run, the bad. The biggest issue facing Rogue Run now is the lack of difficulty options for Ashes of the Damned. It's weird, because they did include Ashes with this update, because the Curse Totem has been added to the map. But for some reason, they didn't include the difficulty options for Ashes. This also creates a weird menu screen for Rogue Run, because the old modes are here with the new ones, like the previous iteration is stuck in the past. I think Astra does play better for Rogue Run, but Astra should still be updated to the new difficulty options. The next issue I still have with Rogue Run is the increased weapon rarity unlock for your starting weapon. In the last video, I said I didn't like the upgrades that you unlocked as you played the mode. But most of these are just basic features that should be added to the rewards options, like armor and pack crystals. Mostly. The increased rarity of your weapon at the start of the match is still something I don't like. It's a jump in progression because your choices are scaled to your current loadout, so if you start with a higher rarity, you'll get even better rewards. It would be nice if you could at least turn it off. The final issue I have with Rogue Run is the randomness of what relics are added to your game. Now I still love how these relics are implemented, and this issue doesn't apply for 80 to 90% of the relics. Even relics that I thought I wouldn't like, I've come around to. Relics like the Valkyrie helmet and the Civil Protector head are perfect examples of this. But for me, relics like the Samantha's Music Box, or the Lawyer's Pen relic, are relics I've tried, but I just don't enjoy using. And at the very least, are just annoying when they get added. I think a good fix for this is when you go to the Curse Totem, it tells you what relic will be applied. That way, you can customize the difficulty to your liking and ignore specific relics that you might not enjoy. At the beginning of this video, I said I was glad that Treyarch was willing to commit to a single mode and update it as time went on. But now it's time to answer the question, does this update fix Rogue Run? And in short, it absolutely does. Not only was Rogue Run updated with new features, but the changes themselves turned this mode into a great experience. It's not flawless, but it turns Rogue Run into a great mode that I highly recommend to anyone that wants a new way to play zombies. I'm really glad they stuck with Rogue Run, because this mode had potential, and I wanted Treyarch to realize it. And they actually made this mode really good, and I'm so glad I was wrong. That's all from me today. If you liked what you've seen and want to see more of it, consider subscribing. It really helps out the channel, and it means a lot to me. But as always, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.